The night has come, it's cold and losing my control. Your light is gone, and lonely darkness fill my soul. I wish that you could save me from my isolation. It's way too complicated. Let's start this conversation. Let's start this conversation. We got no relation.
Good evening, and if you're just tuning in and watching or listening, you are listening to UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network, and this is the Angel Rock. I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin. Wow, we got in there just in time, you guys. We're going to see if TikTok's going to play nice with us tonight. We'll see. You know, it's still loading. Let's see. Oh, no, it didn't do it. Give me a sec, guys. I don't know why it decided to do this, but let's see. Give me 1 sec here. Gave us the wrong button, so let's see if we can do it. Doesn't give me much time, and I got to do it after I go live on StreamYard here. Well, we'll play with it after. It says we're live, so hopefully we are. Anyways, yeah, let me start from where I wanted to be here. Sorry, we're trying to fix screen issues, and we got them. Well, we decided we're just gonna go with it. So if you guys like what you see, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell all your friends and family about my shows. I have a second one also that co-hosts with my very good friend and a fellow UPRN host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn. She has Spirit Switchboard on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern, and we co-host on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern, Beneath the Hollow Moon. And I also want to give a huge shout out to Carnation. They are responsible for all the programming here on Mondays. It's known as Carnation Mondays. And we're really grateful that they do sponsor all the shows here. And so Carnation is a global brand. So if you're out doing any shopping and you're in need of something that Carnation makes, please consider supporting their brand, because they support us and we really, really appreciate them. What else do I want to tell you guys? Give me a sec here. I got my checklist. I guess I should tell you a bit about myself. I'm a Canadian psychic medium, crystal Reiki, energy healer, Akashic Records practitioner, spiritual teacher and mentor. I'm also a registered nurse, animal communicator, well-versed in near-death experiences, having had one as a toddler myself and studied them professionally and personally for over 40 years, as well as I'm extremely well-versed in the paranormal. I always said I didn't go looking for it. It's found us, including my whole life, but most of us that are in this field, it seems to be that way. We did share some of our story on the Travel Channel's Paranormal Survivor. So if you ever want to watch it, you can find it on YouTube, Netflix, all over the place. And it's in season 4, episode 9, called Demonic Hauntings. What else do I want to tell you guys here? Oh, we do have a website. It's www.uprntalkradio.com. It is getting revamped, and there's going to be a chat room, I hear, as well as potentially a new merch store, which will be exciting, because this network does broadcast to every country in the world, believe it or not. We've been around for 25 plus years. I should say 26, probably. I've been saying 25 for the last year. And but 80% of our audience is listening only. So if you are listening live and you're thinking, hey, I want to join the conversation, I want to ask a question, who are they talking to? I'm going to tell you quickly how to join us if you're just listening. You can join under my name, Lorilei Potvin, or The Angel Rock on Facebook, my main profile. I'm streaming on LinkedIn. I'm also on my YouTube channel under The Angel Rock with Lorilei Potvin. And we are streaming to my TikTok under the same name as well. For the network, we are streaming to our main YouTube channel, which is UFO Paranormal and United Public Radio Network. Also, we are streaming on Twitch under the same name. And I'm boring the owner of our network's Rumble, because he has many more people over there than I do, Joe Montaldo. So I'm going to give him a huge shout out, because he broadcasts from his space where he lives. It's absolutely beautiful in New Orleans. And yeah, that's how we have this network going. So he lets me borrow the Jojo Mon account. So just to let you know, you can join in there as well. Also, if you want to watch us on TV, you can. The network does have its own TV channel. It's on Roku. And how you're going to find that. Hi, Michelle Wilfong. I'm going to give you a quick shout out very quickly soon. How you can find us is go to the channel store. You're going to go to the search bar and type in UFO space P as in paranormal. There's a drop down list. We're about the third or fourth one down, and you're looking for UFO, paranormal, and United Public Radio. So we have a fan fave here tonight. I'm going to read his bio and say a quick hello, and then we'll say hi to everybody in the chat. And get ready, guys. It's going to be a fun conversation. It always is with our guest tonight. So we have Tom Dongo. He's recognized as a world authority and one of the United States of America's leading authorities on UFOs, paranormal occurrences, remote viewing, and over the course of many years, been a key lecturer at numerous U.S. national and international conferences, including the International UFO Congress. He studied at the Berkeley International Pyschic Institute in Santa Cruz, California, and has spent the last 30 years in the greater Sedona, Arizona area, which is known as one of the premier, multitask here, and I can't, known as one of the premier UFO hotspots of the world. He is also a writer of mainstream magazine articles and the author of 8 books on the paranormal, including The Mysteries of Sedona, The New Age Frontier, The Alien Tide, and it's in brackets, it's Mysteries of Sedona, Book 2, The Quest, then another one, The Quest, 26 who have answered the call to Sedona Peak of their spiritual quests and experiences. Also another one under The Quest, In Pursuit of the Ultimate Mastery, Merging Dimensions, Volume 1. And then the opening of Portals of Sedona, everything you want to know about Sedona in a nutshell, Unseen Beings and Unseen World. So welcome, Tom. Wow. Have you written another book since I've done this bio? I don't know.
No, I've got literary agents that want me to write 3 books, and I'm going to be 81 years old in a couple of days. So
happy birthday!
Yeah, well, I just don't have the energy to do another book. But they want at any rate, they want me to do 3 books, and I'm just if I was younger, I'd probably do it, but I can't. So
you don't look 81, but hold that thought. Let's say hi to everybody that's popped in here. Thanks for your patience, guys. Like I said, we were trying to kind of straighten out a few screen issues, and we just said the heck with it. We're going to go ahead and not keep you guys waiting. So first one here tonight, Z Sun Dragon says hi, Lorilei, and I call him by his Michael name, Kevin. We got Carrie Fast here saying hello. Then I have a bunch. I posted to all our platforms so people knew we were coming. So it posts like 8 posts in a row in the comments here. So Julie Jean Bassett is here. She says, hello, Lorilei, Tom, and everyone. I also want to give Julie a shout out because she actually connected me to Tom. I think she had met you when she took a trip to Sedona herself. Also, you guys, if you're looking for an incredible animal communicator, Earthside, or even as a pet medium, Julie's your person. She's worked with myself, with many other people. She's helped a lot of my animals with animal issues, and she's got an animal communication course coming up. I want to say the weekend of the February 21st to 22nd, 2026, I think. I've taken it and I highly recommend it. Feel free, Julie, to correct me in the chat if I'm wrong. So if you want to get a hold of her about anything with your animals, if they're driving you crazy and you don't know what you're going to do and they just won't stop, I'm telling you, Julie, she's a miracle worker. She's also an incredible shamanic practitioner, and is taking some of the most incredible courses, really gifted. So you can get a hold of her for the shamanic things on whitetailshamanichealing.com. We've got Michelle Wilfong saying, hello, Lorilei and Tom. And I want to give Michelle a huge shout out because she's my moderator over on TikTok. She is amazing. She does such an incredible job. She also has her own TikTok channel called My Haunted Apartment. And she's got some pretty crazy activity going on where she lives, and she documents that. So please consider supporting her over there too, because I really appreciate all the work she does for me over on TikTok. Got Heidi Gall saying, hello, Lorilei and Tom. Much love from Boulder, Colorado. Let's see. Oh, of course, never fails on Twitch, and I don't have moderator status. So we see you, but we're not going to read your message. Sorry. Let's see. I've got Sean Ellis here, and he's from Wolfpack. Please forgive me if I don't say it correctly, Sean. Is it yeah, you're going to have to put in there. I think it's External Wolfpack Paranormal. Anyways, I was on his podcast and he's been on here before. So he's here tonight. Is Audrey with you? I'll tell Audrey we say hello. That's Heidi's granddaughter. She's such a little sweetie. We've got Astrolite Paranormal here saying, guys, guess who's joining us next week? If I always confirm the day of the show, and it's Victoria Cheeseman, Astrolite Paranormal. She's booked to be on here next Monday. I was checking that already. So, yeah, that's going to be an interesting show. We got Michelle joining us from over in the future. I always love to tease her good-naturedly over there. She's in Australia, and it's Tuesday morning already. Let's see. Everybody's saying hi to one another. We love that. Hang on, scrolling. I hate to miss anybody, so give me a sec. We've got such a nice chat. They're always so nice to new people here, and they always get to know one another and sit and chit chat. We love that. So Julie's course is Beginner Animal Communication course workshop on February 21st and 22nd. Oh, and the Animal Chakra class. I took that one too. That was a lot of fun. That's on February 17th or February 28th. You guys, I highly recommend it. Julie's a great teacher. We got Greg Koss here saying hello, Lorilei and Tom. We got VetGirl84 saying hello. Oh, and Audrey said hi. That's so nice. Thank you, Sean. You know what? My mind went blank. External X Wolfpack Paranormal. That's what it is. Sorry. Thank you for posting that. Let me just check TikTok quick. We got Joseph here. I see Joseph T. Grimm. Thank you for joining us. I hope if you've got any questions or comments, please feel free to put them in the chat. And I pop back and forth from our main studio in StreamYard, and I will definitely do my best to try and answer them. So that is, like I said, I can't believe you said that you're turning 81. And I really mean this, Tom. You look like you're barely out of your 50s. It's like, I can't believe you're going to
be. Well, my body thinks I'm 50.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm 81, right? But at least my brain is still intact, so I'm doing all right. I can still think like a, pretty
my brain,
good,
my brain has not been working. 2025 was a crappy year. My son died at the beginning of the year. Then my common law partner, and all intents and purposes, husband, went in the hospital December 20th and just got out a couple days ago. I don't ever want to see that year again. So I was talking to you today briefly in Messenger, and you said there's all kinds of stuff going on, crazy stuff. Where do you want to start tonight? What do you want to talk about?
We can talk about anything you want to talk about. I've been I'm not going to say it, but at any rate, I get two mind blower things I want to talk about real quick.
Please go ahead. I'm ready. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. And I've had this on the internet before, and you wouldn't believe the answers I get, and they're all wrong. So here's number one. I used to teach channeling, so I'm real familiar with channeling. Channeling a being. So there's and I've been said that I'm one of the world's best remote viewers, and I am. We can talk about that a little later. I'll talk about remote viewing.
Awesome.
And oh, by the way, we're equal now. I found the plus button. So
so where's the plus button?
It's right in the middle of the photograph. You move your pointer over, and it comes up. You just hit plus, and now I can see we're both the same.
Not for me.
No, yeah. Well, for me, they moved it. It used to be down in the left-hand corner. Now it's right on.
Well, now I told you nobody will see the difference, but I know it's annoying when you can see it. So.
Yeah, well, good. When I'm a postage stamp down in the left corner, it's a little bit irritating, So
yeah, I hear you.
My poor old normal self is on now, but here's the thing. So I was on Augie Noss show last week, and I pretty much took over the whole show, and I guess they're going to broadcast it. But anyway, I talked a lot about remote viewing, and one of the things that there's got to be an end to the universe. It does not go forever. So what's on the other side? So Joel Kuhl, the Tibetan, that he was a friend of mine, channeled him. So I asked Joel Kuhl, I said, there was two questions I asked him. I said, have you people ever been to the end of the universe? And he says, yeah, we tried that once. And we got to the end of the universe, and all we saw were white lights, big white spheres all around out there. But we couldn't go any further. So, are we all a speck in somebody's dust, in a closet somewhere? So, someday we'll probably find out. But the universe can't go forever.
And why do you think that, Tom?
Well, it's just it's logical. Maybe it goes in spiral. So big deal. What's on the outside? So no, it can't go forever. I've tried to remote view it. Remote viewing. I've done this on the universe, and you get so far out there. I've done it with a friend of mine named Anea. She was taught by the government in Los Alamos, and she. So I'm a lone wolf here now. I don't have anybody, and I'm associated with the best there is, and the government trained. So anyway, so that's all they could see were balls of white spheres around outside. So what's on the other side? Nobody knows. Nobody's able to. No psychics, no channels. So the other thing is when time began, the very beginning of time, everything had to have been a black void, and everybody said, "Oh, it's God created it." Well, God didn't create it because God didn't exist then. So what created the black void in the very beginning of time? And Joel Kuhl said, "Well, we tried to relay back in time to get there, and none of us could reach it. So it'll stay a mystery." Something created nothing, but what created nothing?
Okay, so I had a thought when you were saying the white spheres. What if, not just a what if, I don't know.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah.
What if that's like the entrance to the afterlife, whatever you want to call it, and you could still be alive? Would you be stopped at the entrance? Just a theory, just a thought, because that's the first time I've ever heard this.
But do you want to take the risk? This is one of the things I do in remote viewing, and I was talking. I was on Augie Nash show a week ago, and I said, when you're a remote viewer, there's some things you don't touch. It scares you so bad you don't want to go any further. And I can name some examples because I've done it.
Sure.
You don't know what's going to happen to you. You really don't know because it's a danger. And I've McMonagle.
Joe McMonagle.
Joe McMonagle. He was. I was standing right next to him. I probably talked about this before in other shows, but people have asked me why do you do this stuff? Because I want to know what the hell's going on. That's basically just it. So anyway, me and Joe McMonagle were standing side by side, and Joe said, at the time he was the world's best remote viewer. Yeah, you had him on your show once, didn't you?
No, I had Chris Latacher, who claims to be one of the boys of Montauk, and I noticed and I've never doubted him. He's never changed his story.
Yeah,
but he claims to have been claimed to be taught as a child there. And he's even gone as far. We've had private conversations. I believe he's coming on in the new year around March, because he's now being even more public. He believes the series Stranger Things was based off of their experiences as children there. But he had mentioned to me off air, he since has said it on air. He was trained to remote view by Joe McMonagle, and my comment was, "Oh, Chris, I'm so disappointed." I said, he just seems like he wouldn't be the type of person to get involved with young children, because there are bad things that happen to these kids. I'm sure at Montauk. So he goes, no. He goes, "Lord, no." He was just asked to come in and teach us how to remote view. He never hurt us. He never did anything. He goes, "I really, really liked him." So that's how I probably talked to you about Joe McMonagle before.
Yeah, I know. We talked about him. So anyway, he was standing right next to me. I used to go to all the UFO conferences, all of them, way back, and way back to Wendell Stevens and well, anyway, way back. So anyway, so McMonagle was talking about this. I said, I said, oh yeah, and I had, at times I thought I was crazy, and I thought I've got to be crazy doing the things I'm doing. I've got to be. So I was going out in space. There's hundreds of alien crafts orbiting the Earth, and I don't let me forget. I've said this to my audiences. I'll get off on these tangents. I'll be talking about remote viewing and
The same thing.
yeah, and I'll start talking about cowboys or something, and I'll say, hey, somebody say, hey Tom, you were talking about remote viewing, and oh yeah, okay, so I'll go back. But so anyway, McMonagle was. I thought, so I was doing that, going out and hanging out on these ships,
Yeah.
So I thought I had to be crazy. So here was Joe McMonagle standing right next to me, said that all the government remote viewers were doing it. And I think, well, geez, I'm not crazy after all.
No.
So, but he went out there, and I'm thinking, oh, you, how could anybody, as experienced as you, do something that's stupid? So anyway, you come up to an alien spacecraft. I tried to teach this. I was on an audience. There was about 100 people in the audience. So I said, hey, I'll tell you guys what. I'm gonna do a instant remote viewing thing, and let's all try it. Let's just go out and find an alien spacecraft. So I taught them how to do it. Just go out. Don't think it's imagination, because it's probably not your imagination. So anyway, the faces on there's about 100 people there. About 20 of them was like this, So they really did see something. It scares the blazing.
Okay, so how did you teach an audience of 100 when there's people that don't even know what remote viewing is? And I believe you. I'm hearing in our audience, they're thinking, how can we try this? How can we just, have a quick little glimpse into it, say if you don't know how to remote view?
Well, this is one of the things Maureen St. Germain and I taught. She's world famous, for books. And we taught remote viewing for 2 years, and some of the times we were very successful, because she taught the military version, coordinates and all that stuff, and I don't believe in it. I just don't.
It's very staunch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She would joke that, and Tom's going to teach the Tom Dongo method. So Maureen taught the military method, and I taught the Tom Dongo method. It was pretty good. We did all right.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I know about remote viewing, and I've been called one of the best in the world. Now I'm really believing that I really am, because the stuff I've done.
Mm-hmm. You talked about it on the last show when you were on. Yeah. You had talked about, if I remember correctly, about you, because you had talked about a friend that you ended up picking up. I think that he got a brand new red truck, and you were talking to people about imagining a place to go to, and every day you visit it, you notice what's all around. And
well, okay, don't let me forget what I was talking about, going out to space. So anyway, I try to teach this to millions. I've been on shows with 8 or 9 or 10 million listeners, and they've given me time to teach it. There are people that charge up to $5,000 a person. But so I gave it away free. So I would take the time to. Remote viewing is actually very simple, but there's something, the wiring in some people's mind just can't accept it. That's what I've been running into. Because for me, it's simple, and I combine psychics. I've had. I was at the Berkeley Psychic Institute, and so they taught me psychic stuff. I'm a natural psychic. I do amazing stuff. So I combined psychics with remote viewing. It's a different thing altogether than just plain old remote viewers do. And I know most of the best. I've dealt with them. The Ingo Swan, Russell Targ guys, So anyway, Joe was talking about and I was going, wow, I'm not crazy. So he was talking. He went out and visited an alien spacecraft. And the thing about alien spacecrafts, if you come up to one and you feel threatened, so Joe did. He got threatened. They basically told him, "You come any further, you're going to be in trouble." So he kept going. He went on to the craft, and they grabbed him.
Oh wow!
they grabbed him and put him in like a glass cage and let him go.
Wow.
Yeah, well, he got shot up real bad in Vietnam. So he said he said, and he said this is one of those terrifying experiences he's ever had in his life.
Wow.
Because I've remote viewed aliens, the brains, and so they are, we have no concept of how an extraterrestrial thinks. We don't. And so anyway, so they grabbed him. And I'm thinking, you dummy. I mean, how can you be so stupid? Somebody's the best.
They gave you a warning. They gave you a warning.
Yeah,
Don't come any further.
Yeah. And he, because I've done it, and they warn you, you stay away. You don't go any further. And the same thing with other things, in remote viewing. Well, I'm gonna get off on a tangent. Anyway, they finally let him go. So and I've remote viewed things. Okay, Linda Moulton Howe, they came after her. I got warned once, if you go in there, they're going to come after you. And I talked to a government whistleblower a few days ago, and he said, I told him, here I am getting off a tangent, but the government has I guess you could call them remote viewers, but if they see you in there, they're going to come after you. So they did Linda. She went. There's a base in Antarctica, the big hole with it, 3 miles deep, and these alien ships fly. And she went in there, and they came after her. Because she talked to a friend of mine at one of the UFO conferences, and she had a rough time for quite a while. And then they left her alone. But so I remote viewed that same place. I wouldn't touch that with a 1,000,000-foot pole. That hole. What's in that hole? There are aliens. Most of the aliens are, we're ants to them. I mean, their intelligence is so far advanced above us that they don't bother with us unless we're a threat to them somehow. So I backed off because the threat was real. If you kept going down deeper in that hole, they were going to do something. So, experienced remote viewer, a good one, there's times to back off, just quit, just leave. So anyway, so Joe said he's been shot up. He was shot out of helicopters twice in Vietnam. The first time he broke his back really bad, and he was saying that experience he had on that alien craft is even more scary than Vietnam. So I mean, that's pretty scary.
Well, he's a fascinating guy. I watched an interview. He was on the Sean Ryan podcast. I think it was a 6-hour podcast, and he still could have talked longer because the stories he had and the experiences. Because I think he didn't talk about the alien ship, but I remember, if memory serves me right, I watched it over a year ago. He was talking about his back and how badly injured he'd been injured quite a few times throughout the years. But so we have a question here, Contessa. Actually, I knew you were going to correct it probably, so give me a sec. I started it, and then I'm glad you retyped it. So the question is from Contessa: would it be harder to use remote viewing to spy today, since most countries have remote viewing?
Yeah.
Wouldn't they know you were spying?
Good question. When remote viewing first started, it was kind of discovered about 40 years ago. The Russians and the Russians in the U.S. they were remote viewing each at the same time. Now the remote viewers are so good. Somebody high up told me this. They can go into a safe in Moscow, go into the safe and look through a stack of papers, this thick, and find the paper they want and read it. Nobody could do that 40 years ago. Not even Ingo Swann. So it's developing. But by the way, don't let me. When AI Atlas went over, something did changes.
Oh, what happened? What do you think changed?
That was not a rock. I just watched a thing about 3 hours ago. I didn't have time to watch all of it. I just watched. But Michio Kaku said when the AI Atlas See, I remote viewed it when it was first came into sight, and I said there are 6 or 7 beings on that are inconceivable to us. We could not understand that life form.
Okay.
So it turns out I was right. So anyway, but Michio Kaku says that there are people around the world that are having the same vision of an enormous city out in space, and crafts, and just stuff like that. So psychologists have examined these people.
Right.
They're all having the exact same recognition of this stuff. So I mean, that's significant. When 2 people don't know each other and they have the same experience, that's real. They're not making it up. So
I keep hearing city in the sky, and we're not talking blue sky, like out in space is what I keep hearing.
Yeah, that's what they've been seeing. Cities in the sky, in the universe, out in space. In a long time, scientists said that's not black nothing out there. There's stuff living in space.
Yeah.
What do you think those creatures, all those things that they've seen coming into most of them are creatures from space that are visiting us, flying around, and they're not UFOs. They're creatures. And when that thing out there, one of the anyway, it was towing the 17-mile long thing out there, whatever it was, and it broke. So all these things about 5 miles wide came looking at this thing. They're flying all around it. A lot of this is back in the days you couldn't fit. Now it's all artificial intelligence. The fake crap that's going on right now with artificial intelligence. They've said that artificial intelligence has now surpassed our intelligence. They've been afraid.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then with the quantum computers, and I've been following quantum because that's supposed to be the next big thing with AI and computers. I've been following this now for about 10 years. And, from what I've seen, they don't exactly know when they send what these quantum computers are connecting to, where that information is coming. And it makes our computers of today look like play typewriters, basically. So it's so funny because I was going to ask you about AI. That popped in my head about 10 minutes ago.
Well,
Kevin,
go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, sweetie. Go ahead.
Kevin wanted to share, and he's in Eastern Canada. He says, I've recently seen mountains at furthest skyline point. Then they faded away. We also have a question too. So that's interesting that he says is right at the skyline and then fading away. I don't know.
Well, you know about me and the Bradshaw Ranch. I'm world famous for the Bradshaw Ranch.
Sure are. Mm-hmm.
So we learn things, and it's still going on. The Bradshaw Ranch, and here I go off my tangent again. But the Bradshaw Ranch it's abandoned now. It's a ruin.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's owned by the U.S. government.
Of course.
And the U.S. government has devices. I've got pictures. Somebody took pictures of a friend of mine. They put there's a camera. It's focused at the Bradshaw Ranch and straight to the ranch, and there's another one that's put straight up. So what? And a friend of mine said that he interviewed somebody, and the guy was in the military. He said those are very expensive intelligence cameras. Yeah, very expensive. So and there's a cable. Oh, it's about where's the camera? About this big going into the ground. So what is in the ground? So
if it's abandoned, why the expensive cameras? And like you said, why in the ground?
Yeah, exactly. And some of this stuff, I'm afraid of what they know. Some of it, I got into a long conversation today about a thing or a person. And I said, I don't want to know. I'm not going to remote view it because I don't want to know so anyway, because I can get an inkling of what it is, and I don't want to know. So anyway, because if they can come after you, and You snoop around too much, and they can come after you. So
We
anyway,
have a couple questions for you, actually. So Contessa is also asking, great questions, by the way, always, guys. You guys always ask the best questions. When you are remote viewing, can you now use a shield to protect or hide yourself so no one can detect you?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes and no. There's yes and no. There's if you know somebody's remote viewing you or other things, somebody brought up at one of the shows I was on. Well, I can't even remember now. But anyway.
Yeah, but Tom, don't you know? Okay, so I can remote view too. I'm nowhere near as as you are, but you kind of know, like you get kind of a feeling. But some people, if they're really accomplished, they can in and get out before you know it. But you just know if you're tuned in, it just doesn't feel right. Like I get this feeling on my back, like someone's watching me if they're popping in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, we understand. There was something I watched the other day. I get bombarded with stuff from people all over. So some of it I carefully listen, watch, or whatever. But we humans are more incredible than we can ever possibly imagine. Things we can
every day. I say it every day that we don't have any idea the potentiality of who we are as human beings.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, because I've seen it. I know how powerful we are, but we don't know and we don't use it. Probably 1,000 years ago, everybody was a healer. They can heal everybody, and they were all remote viewers. But the thing about remote viewing is, if on these shows, I've tried to teach millions of people free how to remote view, and I'll talk about it in a second. But they if people could see what I see, you couldn't comprehend it. I mean, I see things that even good remote. I mean, I know a friend of mine. He's one of the original government remote viewers, and he can't keep up with me at all. He's one of the Ingo Swann, Russell Targ trained, and so he can't keep up with me. So but they where was I going with this?
Well, we got some questions anyways. We're probably gonna go all over. So I see, Greg, you're asking, I hope I can get a replay, Laura. Of course you can get a replay. Anybody can. It's being recorded live on Facebook right now, as well as YouTube. You can find it on my YouTube channel, the network's YouTube channel. Then Joe, it usually takes about a week or so, the owner of the network, Joe Montaldo, he will download the shows and upload them to the server. And then all of our shows can be found on anywhere where talk radio or podcasts are carried, but you definitely can ask for that. So there was another good question here, so just hang on. Okay, I'm going to say Blind Frog Ranch because I know we're going to get off on another tangent with that, so hang on for 1 sec, Michelle, because that's a good question as always. So Carrie Fast says she believes ask permission if you can remote view a certain area before going full loaded. What's your thoughts about that? I don't know.
I'm not into this asking. I just do it. Can I do this to you, or can I remote you? I just do it, whether they like it or not. Mm-hmm. So, but well,
it's a double-edged sword, though, Tom, because when I'm teaching and working with students and things like that, or even when I'm working with clients, and I don't want to know why you're coming. The least amount of information I have, the best. Just give me an idea. Come from mediumship, whatever you're coming from. But I've had people that'll say, well, I'm wondering what's going on with my daughter and her relationship with her husband, and I want all this. And I say, you know what? Thank you for reaching out. Please keep your money, because I refuse to go into somebody else's energy field and do a reading on them without permission. To me, that is like me going into somebody's house that is unlocked and helping myself. But remote viewing's different than, say, working with a client. Would you agree, or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, long time ago, I was born with a remote viewing ability. I didn't develop it. I was born with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just later in life, about 20 years ago, I started realizing that I can, that's what I can do. I can remote view. Yeah. And there's a lot of natural remote viewers, but they don't know it. I talked to people, with a woman not too long ago. She says, "No, you're an awesome remote viewer. You don't realize this." So anyway, there are also, so they just don't. What was I talking about? Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, no, I forgot what I was talking about.
It's okay. We're going all over because people, I was looking at the comments because people are commenting and they're still talking about, you kind of know when someone is remote viewing you. No, but I'm going to say, you guys, I truly believe if you've got somebody that's very, 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 very highly trained and accomplished, and they can do it quite quickly and get in and out, I wouldn't always know. Would you, Tom, if someone was, really highly trained and in and out?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell a story I told Augie the other day. I was one time, I can prove almost all of this stuff. I'm not making it up. I mean, I've done it so many times. I used to get debunkers and skeptics and disbelievers. I used to get attacked constantly, but verbally attacked.
Then you're over the hot spot when they attack you. Actually, I wanted to put this up. Hi, Benno from Oz. He says, "I love Tom's shirt."
Yeah, well, I like to look cool. This is my show shirt.
This is your show shirt. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, what was that? What was I going to say? I forgot.
Well, people were talking. We were talking about like if somebody is really, really highly accomplished, like we were talking about how trained they are nowadays.
Yeah.
You don't always know, right?
Well, yeah. Okay, I'll get back to that. But I was I taught remote viewing just for the fun of it when I first realized I could do it. So you know why I stopped? I just canceled the whole thing. Because the wives wanted to spy on the husbands and the husbands wanted to spy on the wives. And I said,
oh my goodness.
pee on this. So seriously, I'm serious. That's all they wanted to do. And I tell people now, you do that you remote view to harm somebody or negativity. It's gonna bite you in the butt. Yeah, it's going to come back on you because it does. Oh, I'll go back to the original remote viewers. I started talking about it. So the Russians were remote viewing the Americans. The Americans were remote viewing the Russians. So they were dying of heart attacks and brain tumors when they tried to do something. And there's a word for it. Somebody I was on a show said, "Oh yeah, this is something." So intentional harm. This is the first. There's a book about 2 inches thick. It's in that I read it. Well, anyway, so you get feelings, if something's wrong. So this story. So I was at the airport in Sedona, and when I was taught at the Berkeley Psychic Institute, whenever we really close to somebody, there's a cord, and it looks like a rope. Goes from us to them. Yeah, you can cut them. You cut them with the scissors if you don't like the person. Yeah. So anyway, I got this. I stopped. I said, "Wait a minute, something's going on here." I felt kind of creepy. So I said, "Somebody's remote viewing me." So I found the cord, and I came into Budapest, Hungary, and I came into this room. I've done this often with other things. So I came into this room, and these two people, a man and a woman, all dressed in black. Their black hair, and they were hunched over like this. I could tell they were remote viewing me, and they realized I was there, and they both looked up like this and smiled. And I said, "Okay, well, I caught you." So they knew I. But in that, usually a person can't feel that they're being remote viewed.
Because we have a question. So Lisa Martinello says, how would you know if someone is remote viewing us? And how do you know if you or someone else has that gift? Because I'm going to say, and I've seen this, please correct me if I'm wrong, Tom, anybody can be taught pretty well to remote view, right? You got to put the work in, and if you're not natural at it. But I think a lot of people are, and they don't realize that they're remote viewing.
Well, I've like I say, I've tried to teach this to millions of people free. And so I taught this audience of 100 people, I said, just imagine, that you're going on an alien spacecraft. Just imagine it, because you may not. It may be for real. Little Johnny, 7 years old. Oh, you imagined that, Johnny. It didn't happen, so forget it. So that kills a kid's, incentive right there, right?
That's what happens to us with our intuitive abilities, I believe. Mm-hmm.
Oh, often. Yeah, often. So so anyway, getting back to remote viewing. Remote viewing is actually simple. From my context, you're projecting your subconscious to a place. Time and distance has no meaning. Time has no meaning. So just what I do, I go somewhere, and it's all out of focus, and I'll kind of stand there or whatever, and it's like focusing a camera, and it all comes into focus. And then I look, just to see what I want. I've talked to some of the best remote viewers, and they don't even understand what I'm talking about. So I must do something a little bit different. I don't know.
Well, but you know what? I'm going to share something with you because I was part of a remote viewing group. I'd always wanted to do this, and I still do. But it wasn't quite the right fit to be able to use my gifts to help lost and missing children or children that are no longer alive. Yeah. And so I had sort of thought, well, maybe it's a bit of a course the way it was talked about. It wasn't, but I'll tell you guys what I do. You're going to relax yourself and make sure I'm grounded before. And I call in my team. I call them to assist me. But the one person, especially I knew could really help me, was my youngest son that had severe autism. He was 26 when he passed away a year ago, but he was very much like a child of 5 to 7. So I would get in a relaxed position, some deep breathing. Again, like I said, make sure I'm grounded. And then I would project, like you got to make something up for yourself if you're visual or however you are. But like I'm reaching up into, if you will, the universal consciousness and asking to kind of pull down. And then once I get into that state, then I could project to wherever I wanted to go. Like you said, you get that picture in your mind instead of telling yourself, I don't know if this will help people, but don't tell yourself, oh my God, I'm just imagining this. This can't be happening. How about you just give yourself permission to go with it and see what you see? But that's how, and it worked. So I don't know. Well, how about for you, Tom? Like you said, you project your consciousness.
But it's actually, it's actually pretty simple. I mean, So I've taught the whole thing. I took 15 minutes on a 8 million people show, but I don't know because I never heard it back from. There's no way they could get in touch with me, and I don't want anybody because I guess I'm inundated as it is. So anyway. But so remote viewing, I swear, if I could give it away to millions of people, this world would be a different place.
Oh, yes.
Shortly. Because the 100th monkey thing, one person would teach another,
Yep.
Because mentally, I've been in a room with the best psychics on this planet. Mm-hmm. Back when I was at the Berkeley Psychic Institute and that sort of stuff. And they train. They will train each other's brain just by being in proximity. Yeah, because I've seen it, I've done it, and so if you get one person that's good at it, really good, mm-hmm. they can. If the other person is receptive, they can train that other person just by being near that one person. They'll train the other person's brain if they're receptive. So,
yeah, the same frequency, right, and the universal consciousness. Yeah. Because this makes me think of, she's been on the Angel Rock quite a few times, and she's a friend of mine, Sonia Roy, and she had me on her podcast last week. And what she's been trying to do with her once a month podcast is have people from all different walks of life that are doing this kind of work. But how do we get into it? How do we kind of access things and so on and so forth? So, some of the things you're talking about, I talked a little bit about on that show, as well as I truly believe every human being has the ability to be intuitive. And again, you hit the magic words there about 5-10 minutes ago. But when you start growing up and life starts happening, you start getting told there's no such things as imaginary friends. There's no such things as ghosts. You're getting too old for this. It was okay when you were a little child, but now you're getting too old for so where I'm going with this is, so I tend to like to look at it that it's kind of like you learned how to ride a bike when you were little, but now maybe you're older and you're giving the opportunity or you're feeling the calling to jump on that bike again. You got to maybe do a little bit of work and some practice and stuff, but I think people can get in touch with that intuitive side. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's it's here. I mean, it exists. We just have to use it, tap into it.
Yeah.
You know, and my friend Maureen Saint Germain, she's big into the Akashic records. I'm not.
I do.
But
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah, but we can do it. Anybody can do it if they.
I agree. That's what I said on that show, because she asked me what was the most influential course I'd ever taken. And I said, well, I said the teacher I had was great for the Akashic Records, but I kept hearing this call to do it. And I said, very honestly, after I took the course, I went, holy crap, I've been doing this my whole life. So I didn't need to take the course.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm a lousy talker usually, but I'm a great listener. So, I mean, even if somebody's nuts, I mean, I've talked to people that are totally insane, but a lot of them are tapped into something that most of us aren't.
I have that theory. As a nurse, I have that theory. And you can tell, say, if somebody is schizophrenic or having a psychotic.
Oh, God, don't get me started on.
No, but you can tell if they're really mentally ill. Or, and I've been saying this, like when people are hallucinating, are they really hallucinating, or is their consciousness maybe in a different dimension or something else that they're experiencing that the rest of us aren't seeing, hearing, feeling, whatever it may be? Mm-hmm. I believe that.
Yeah, interesting. So anyway, I'll get back to remote viewing. There was something I was going to say. I'll remember it later. But
I'm sorry. Just
about possession. Listen to this. I have seen 2 women get possessed right in front of me. It's one of the scariest. It's one of the scariest experiences.
Horrifying.
It's horrifying. And I watched the woman because her eyes were, this close, and she was in a battle to get her body back. And this thing, and it was a dead human. I mean, the possession is by a dead human. They were drunks, they were dope addicts or whatever. Most people are vulnerable because they don't know that. They don't know when they're being attacked. But if you see somebody that never touched a drop of liquor in their life and they suddenly turn into a drunk, well, they're being possessed by a dead human. There's an awesome book out. I've given dozens of them away. The Unquiet Dead by Edith Fiore. She proved a lot of things, that a lot of it is possession. So anyway, that's but getting back to viewing. So when I've tried to describe it to millions of people, here's the example I use, because this is what I did. My friend, he's a psychologist. He wanted to find out how good I was. He lived in Durango, Colorado, and I lived in Sedona. So I would travel from Sedona to Durango, and he would test me. We put things up on the table and whatnot. And I could go there, and my body was there. I mean, it's a weird feeling. It really is. And I would go, and the animals could see me. And one time,
that's the other part I missed. I believe all small children and animals can see.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Especially little kids. Yeah. Well, anyway, so Tom had this little dog, and I would go to his house in Durango, and one time the dog ran up to me, and I got down on the grass looking him right in the eyes, and I said, "Well, you little bee, you can actually see me, can't you?" And he goes like this, So I said, I must have looked like a ghost. Somebody that's remote viewing must look like a ghost to a dog or something. And what's the difference? Sometimes, what's the difference between a remote viewer and a ghost? I've done a lot of ghost stuff in the past, so but have you ever
gone paranormal investigating or whatever, right? And so I'm really big on treating those that are no longer with us with respect versus what you sometimes see on TV. But I've seen it. Now, I haven't personally experienced, but I've seen it numerous times where someone will walk in and say, well, you're dead. And they'll have like a spirit box or something. And the person will come back on the other side and say, you're dead. So what are we really seeing? Or when you see residual hauntings and where there used to be a doorway in this crumbling old building and the person just walks through the wall. Now that's a different thing versus say an intelligent haunting where someone walks through the wall. But when you go back to the plans of the building, maybe it was a beautiful old Victorian house and there was a whole dining room or sitting room or something there. But then you start to wonder, what are they seeing versus what we see, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you never know.
Well, you know, I could probably still do it, but I could talk to ghosts. In fact, okay, I got endless stories. How much time do we have left anyway? Where are we at?
We got about 50 minutes. We do have one more question before we jump into ghosts. Plus, Michelle wanted to ask you some stuff about Blind Frog Ranch. You see why I said I could have you on every month practically, and we'd never run out of things to talk about. No. Contessa wants to know, why would we need to learn remote viewing per se? What would be the purpose of it?
You know what the big thing is? You can tell who's lying. I mean, there's an awful lot of liars these days. They're frauds, they're fakers. I mean, I ran into it. For whatever reason, you know, they some of these people, well, they imagine that they're doing something, and after a while, they actually believe it. They create it, but they believe they're not doing it. I mean, I can say something about that, but so you know, it's a fantasy. Oh God, I don't want to get onto this. The Ash Tower Command. Don't let me start talking about the Ash Tower Command.
Okay, but this is what Carrie added, because she said that with remote viewing, she uses it for healing work with people she works with. But she said, lately I've been remote viewing and projecting into some galactic meetings. Very good stuff to report from the heavens. I am so excited.
Well, you know, there's infinite things going on around us that we should have more knowledge of. I mean, we are surrounded by creatures.
Okay, so you said this before, and we got off on another topic. What do you mean by creatures? Tell us more, please.
Well, they can see us, but we can't see them.
But what do they? So what do they feel like? What do they look like then?
Well, you know, that's when I was at the Bradshaw Ranch. Linda Bradshaw, she died 4 years ago. But Linda and I, we were the portal. That portal. I mean, we had camera crews from everywhere in the world out there every week. And I got real tired of being interviewed. With all the lights up and the camera. So anyway, we could you know, and I really don't. You know, people start talking about demons and all that crap. You know, we could feel them. The portal was about 20 feet by 30 feet. It was a big round portal just south of the ranch, and it existed. I don't think it's still there. But these things would come out. These interdimensional things would come out. People used to think I was nuts when I talked about this, but now nobody thinks I'm nuts. But so these things are.
Tom, I had an experience with something in my previous home, and it said it was a demon. And this dream happened 17, 18 years ago. Well, I'm just going to tell you what happened. And all heck broke loose in my previous home. I was forced to be Roman Catholic. I always say from the womb, I got forced to go to church, forced to go to Catholic school, whatever. I say I'm a retired Catholic now. I could not find this name I was given and the spelling or anything like that. And I was helping actually somebody that I saw basically in front of me get possessed. And before it had happened, they'd asked me, they said I had a dream and this name kept coming through. Did I know much about it? And I said, well, I don't usually work in that arena with darker type things, but let me have a look. 5 years later, found the exact name, the exact spelling, and even the sigil, the animal form it had given me in the dream, everything. Now, am I saying it's a demon? I don't know. It wasn't nice, whatever it was, but I'd never heard this name before, never heard the spelling before. So how did I find that 5 years later on a page? I wasn't looking for it.
Oh, don't let me forget what I was talking about. I'm going to finish remote viewing, telling people how to do it.
Okay.
Oh geez, what are we just talking about?
I'm sorry. You know, when we talk, Tom, we get like this because there's just so much to talk about.
Yeah, there's no end to it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, where was I going with that? I forgot.
The creatures. You were talking about the creatures. The creatures.
Oh yeah.
That are
okay. The portal. So we could feel these things, and I said this on a show one time, and I'm going, oh. So, you know, there's a smell of roses in the middle of the winter, strong roses. So they say, oh, angels, you know, and I'm saying, well, not necessarily. And
I just thought that, not necessarily.
Yeah. So and burning sulfur and tar. I got to tell you a quick story about burning sulfur and tar.
Okay.
So then they say, "Oh, demons." I go, "Oh, not necessarily." So I got to tell. So anyway, one night when Linda, Bob Bradshaw, Bob moved to Sedona in 1949, and he said the first paranormal stuff happened in 1922.
Okay.
In Sedona stuff. So anyway, so he, so I went into my van to we just used 35 millimeter camera, point and shoot. There's none of this digital stuff like there is now. So the next day it got very expensive. We had very small, limited amounts of money. So
of course, yeah.
Some of these outfits are financed with millions, like the Skinwalker Ranch. They're not financed by millions. So anyway, we would develop the negatives the next day and see what was on them. 35 millimeter. You couldn't hoax any of that stuff like happens today. Most of the stuff is a hoax these days, because of all this fake stuff they can do. So I still feel bad about this. I will forever. But I went into my van and I something came in with me. I could feel it, and it smelled like burning tar and sulfur. So I'm going, I'm reloading my camera. And Linda and I found out that these things that were around us can control time. They can manipulate time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we got in the habit of, on a 35 millimeter camera, we got in the habit of putting our thumb over the red light, because we found out these things were looking over our shoulder and saw where the red light went, and they just move out of the way. So we started putting our thumb over the red light and then taking pictures just anywhere, down, back. So anyway, I'm sitting there I still feel bad about this even today, because I think I killed something. So I got my camera reloaded, and I fired up the flash, and I put my thumb over the red light, and I spun around real quick and hit the shutter, and the flash went off, right? So what happened was, there was a thing, it looked exactly like a daisy. It was about 3 feet. I mean, exactly like a daisy. And it just wilted, like it died. I mean, it just to nothing. So I know I hurt something very bad that didn't want to be seen, but so stuff like that. You never forget.
It kind of goes back to at the beginning of the show when you were talking about remote viewing, and when you get that feeling not to go further, or like Joe McGonigal, you said, have been warned, do not go further, but he still kept going forward, right? And they took him prisoner, like you said. But if you think about that, and again, obviously I would feel terrible too, right? Like, you don't ever want to hurt something, but it almost seems like whatever this being was followed you because it was curious, right? And you didn't have the intent to hurt it in any way.
Well, these things, Linda was more of a sensitive than I was. She could see things. So she could see some of these things, that these beings, you could feel them. I mean, and it felt like you were in Times Square, people bumping into you, and we knew they could see us, but we couldn't see them. And so we just, I have phenomenal abilities. I've talked about this a lot, but the University of California, Berkeley, wanted me to come there for 2 weeks and study me. And this is the truth. I can prove it.
Yeah.
Because I do such strange things. So I like remote viewing. So I turned them down because I found out it was going to be hypnosis almost all the time, and they wanted to find out about extraterrestrials. So I turned them down. I didn't do it. But the University of California, Berkeley. That place. There's real smart people that go to the University of California, Berkeley. So.
I have so many questions for you between just what we've talked about, but the one I want to ask you is, okay, so you believe there was a portal at Bradshaw Ranch, sorry, I almost said Blind Frog, and I believe you, but why do you think like, who do you think opened that portal? Where did it come from? Like you said, it seemed like the activity started in 1922. Was it a world event that maybe activated the portal? Had it always been there? Like, what's your thoughts? Like, because portals, I know there are people that are capable of opening portals and closing them, including extraterrestrials. So, but we hear about these portals all over. I mean, and that's CERN aside of all of this, because we know CERN is doing stuff like that too. But
well, you know, we knew those. Here's this thing. Now, you know that the scientists have discovered 17 new dimensions. I was told this by a whistleblower.
Okay.
This is going to freak people out a little bit. But one of those dimensions, they found us, and they're not friendly. They're like creatures.
Mm-hmm.
And they're here now with us, so they're worried. What are these things going to do? You know, I'm trying to remember who proved. Anyway, they proved that there's 17 new dimensions, and one of them, the beings in it, found us, and they're coming here now. So, you know, I haven't been able to sense them. I don't, if they're here, they're not. Well, you know, there's a lot of things here. We can't, I'll tell you a quick story. I'm kind of crazy, you know, but I one time, you know, they talk about the white hats and the black hats and all that BS. So I wanted to find this is how crazy I am. So I remote viewed out there, and I wanted to find the worst of the worst of the worst of extraterrestrials, aliens. Mm-hmm. And I found him. So here I am in the room with them, and they were saying, let's kill him. And the leader said, no, don't touch him. If he had the ability to find us, leave him alone. Let him go. So I thought that was pretty good, you know. But they were saying, let's kill him. So you know, they I mean, this stuff exists, and we need to know about it. I mean, some of it's pretty frightening, but we need to know about it. You know, I've said awareness is the key to protection.
I say knowledge is empowering myself because it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you have the awareness and the intelligence, you know, people will say, how can I protect myself? Just be aware of it.
Yes.
Aware of the problem, and your subconscious will protect you. Mm-hmm. You know, so I've talked about this a lot in other shows. So,
okay, so I got another question for you, kind of based on some of the stuff we're talking about. Why do you think all of a sudden it seems like in the last 10, I'll say last 2 decades, but especially in the last 10 to 15 years, we are hearing, and again, yes, I have to agree with you, a lot of it is fake, what I'm about to ask you, but some things aren't. We're seeing more about giants now. Dogman seemed to come out of nowhere. You know, we're talking about ET. We're talking about there's all these strange creatures. I've even seen back in the day before AI, it looked like little tiny velociraptors, and I've seen like it flies in the air. Is it a pterosaur? I forget.
Petrodactyl. We saw one in Sedona, a petrodactyl.
Okay, so why do you think we're seeing them now? Like, what do you think's happening? Like, what's going on?
They're coming from other dimensions here temporarily, like the Mothman in Pennsylvania, the Mothman prophecies. That thing, it was real. You know, the funny thing is, John Keel actually made up. It was fiction. A lot of that stuff that he wrote about, and it came true. These people are actually having experiences that Keel wrote about. There was a show on the other day about John Keel and the Mothman prophecies, and they were actually having the experiences in I think it was Pennsylvania. But they were actually having what he wrote about was fiction, but they were actually experiencing that. So
but that's the same as Slender Man, and I think even the Rake, Paranormal, the Rake, they came from a website called Creepypasta, where people wrote these creepy stories. Now, was it out of their imagination, or were they tapping into maybe something from another dimension? Then more and more people talked about it. People started drawing them, and before you know it, now people are having physical experiences with these terrifying beings.
Well, that's a new change. I mean, there's something going on, and I've challenged some remote viewers, and there's something going on,
right?
That we, well, the missing 411. What's his name? Anyway.
Oh, David Politis, I think, or something, isn't it? Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so I can, oh, geez, some of this stuff is scary even for me. I don't know. But anyway, David Politis, The Missing 411. If anybody hasn't seen that, The Missing 411, it's on YouTube free. Yeah. It's scary. It's scary.
There are your documentaries on there too.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Bradshaw, right.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So
what do you think with the missing 411 or 411?
Well, here's the thing. We need to know about this. I was on, my understanding goes just so far, but we have to be trained to be as powerful as we are and we can be. So anyway, the missing 411. There was. I've been able to. Well, I don't know if I should talk about some of this other stuff that I know. But anyway, I was able to. There was a guy who was a hunter, and he disappeared. They gave the coordinates of where he disappeared in the missing 411, and I was able to find him, trace it. I mean, I couldn't find him, but I was able to trace it.
Right.
And I think I talked about this on Coast to Coast. And, they said, well, I don't really, rather you wouldn't talk about that, but I did anyway. I said, no, I'm going to. So anyway, I tracked him.
Okay.
And I was on a show, and somebody said, "Did you go up or did you go down?" Good question. I went up fast up.
Okay.
So I was trailing this guy's where he disappeared, right? So I got somebody slammed on my brakes, and I heard this voice that said that this is as far as you're going. And so I had, get me started. I have, I learned early on to get around the blocks that the early remote viewers. I was in Denver when General Stubblebine had the best remote viewers in the planet in the audience.
Remember when we connected and you mentioned him, and I said I'm friends with his wife, Dr. Rima Lebo. Yes.
Yeah. So so small world. So I'm going. This is when I was first doing this stuff. So I'm surprised. I'm not crazy. I'm not the only. So anyway, he was saying the best of the best remote viewers that there's a block that somebody would put up. You couldn't get through it, but I learned how to get through it easy. So I wanted to jump up and down. I know, but I didn't, So anyway, a block, it's like a wall. It looks just like a wall. And I'm looking at it like this, and I say, well, and then the voice said, "Don't even try it." So I said, "Okay, that's good enough for me. I ain't going any further." So
weren't you guys in a cave when you were? I think you had told me about this before. You guys were in a cave with I'm going to get his title wrong, but Bert Stubblebine, basically. I'm not being disrespectful. Was it General? I'm sorry, I'm Canadian and don't know all the titles for the military. Yeah, but I just know him as Bert from Rima, right?
Oh, yeah. I remember we talked about that. Yeah, he was a general.
Okay.
I met him. He was a cool guy. He was a real tall guy, slender. Mm-hmm. You could tell he had been commanding a lot of armies or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't talk. I mean, I didn't have, I was nothing then. If you didn't have credentials, they wouldn't talk to you. Oh, who are you? What kind of a PhD you got? I said, well, I graduated from high school. How's that? So.
Yeah, but nowadays, with the abilities you have, and people that have these type of abilities, there's countries, I'll say militaries, looking for people with gifts like yourself. Or I've had somebody on the show that has now been a part at least of season 1 for the telepathy tapes. And when they come on, she's over in England, and she says she was special education teacher, and a 6-year-old, quote unquote, headhunted her. He remembered the contract coming down here that he'd made with her. And this kid with remote viewing and all kinds of stuff, telepathy, like she didn't know any of this stuff, like how to be a medium, psychic, you name it. She calls him Asher. She doesn't even show her face on the camera. And she goes by the name of Jess Curzon. And I just thought that was a real name till she told me, no, that's not even my real name. Because as we started to talk more and more about his abilities and the experiences that he had, I went, how the heck did the UK government not scoop this kid up because of his abilities? And she said, that's why we don't show my face. That's why we don't use his real name. He's now an adult now, I think in his late 30s, early 40s. Because that's another thing too, right? When you've got those kind of gifts and abilities, you got to be careful because there's people that are looking for that kind of stuff.
Well, it's like Borisky in Russia. That kid, when he was 7 years old, he was talking about stuff. It turned out it was true about the universe and all this other stuff. Borisky. He's probably in his 40s now, and he won't talk. He won't. He's been ridiculed so much he won't talk anymore. But Borisky is a kid like that.
Like, it's interesting though, where I was going with that is that you had the contact with some of those in the military. Like you said, you weren't credentialed, so your abilities, I would think, would have also had to make some kind of impression for them to speak to you. From what you were describing, that unless you had a title, they kind of didn't want to speak to you.
Well, then I was a nobody, so they just didn't want to hear it. But now I'm going around the world, so nobody attacks me anymore. I haven't been attacked. I've been on this about the 100th show I've been on in the last 15 years, worldwide, and I've talked to well over 100 million people. In that time, and so I talk about stuff like this. I wouldn't have dared this stuff. I talk about this stuff now, but I wouldn't have dared to talk about some of the stuff I know 10 years ago because the ridicule. I mean, I've been ridiculed in national magazines, Poker.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Fate. Yeah. So anyway,
but it is an isolating topic, okay? Because when we went through the experience we did in my previous home, and I used to say that it can be very lonely because I don't tell people what I do. I never tell people what I do nowadays because it's almost like, or say you go to a gathering with people and everybody goes, oh, what do you do for a living? What do you do for a living? I usually just say I'm a podcaster, retired nurse. I'd be working if I could, hurt my back. But then as you get talking, if somebody throws a little bit in there about the paranormal and a little bit more, and then somebody nudges that door open, before you know it, 90 to 95% of the whole group has had something weird, strange, and unexplainable happen. But it's not something like if you were standing in line at the grocery store, you could just sit and have a casual conversation. Like, I'm still careful too, and I think we have to be. It's getting better. But not everybody knows about these things or believes in them, right?
Well, the average normal person, I never talk to because they don't have any idea what I'm talking to. I get this oh sure look on their face, so I don't bother. Skeptics, I won't. Huh? Yeah, but
it's not worth it because what, Sammy, I think you were going to say skeptics. You know what? You don't have to waste. You got nothing to prove to them.
No, not anymore. I used to. Try to convince a skeptic. I won't spend 3 seconds doing it now. I'm not interested.
Well,
I don't care.
Yeah. Right? It's real. And you've met enough people within the community that like you say, they're not ridiculing. I can't say the word today. Ridiculing you. But the problem is, and I've said this to many people, right? Why waste your time? To try and convince somebody that doesn't believe in it because you know, and you got nothing to prove.
Yeah. Oh, there's something. My mind's going in 100 directions right now.
So is mine.
Yeah. So don't let me. I want to tell people how to remote view. Don't let me forget that. But lately the big
So
the big
how long is it going to take? Do you want to try one? Do you want to try it right here?
Just take me a few minutes to get the gist of it, and then they can go on their own. Yeah, I'll do that now. But you know, the big thing that's been coming up lately is Bigfoot and dogmen.
We never talk about those ever.
No.
And I wanted to talk to you about those things too.
Well, well, there was you know, the other day somebody sent it to me. It's an hour and a half video, and the guy right off, a big smile, he says, "Dogmen don't exist. They're not real." So I'm going, and I can prove they do. I mean, I've interviewed so many people. Like a good friend of mine, Jack. He's I'm trying to stay on subject here. But Jack ran into the Mogollon Monster. The Mogollon Monster has been active lately.
I don't even know what that is.
It's the Mogollon Monster. It's the Mogollon Rim is here, Payson, Arizona. It's about 8,000 feet up in the rim. But Payson is a town lower than that. See, there's the Colorado Plateau. An earthquake pushed the Colorado Plateau up 2,000 feet. Million years ago. So the Mogollon Monster is a Bigfoot. It's been so my friend Jack, he tells this story. He was up on it was on the General Crook Trail. The General Crook Trail was the first road built in Arizona to defeat the Apaches. So General Crook moved his troops back and forth. And Jack ran into the Mogollon Monster up there. He said they were 10 feet apart. He said that thing wasn't an animal. It had a human-like expression on its face, and it didn't hurt him any. The big feet never hurt anybody unless they're shot or something, you know, threatened seriously. So he said that we just looked at each other for a few minutes, and it just turned around and walked away. And that's what big feet do. Mm-hmm. And they're very, you know. A friend of mine was a wilderness, took people on wilderness trips. Yeah. And he tells this story. Big feet are very careful. But he was getting ready for a trip, and he had all of his equipment on his porch. He was on the Sandy La Salle Mountains, which are like the Rockies. His cabin way up. And he said he was getting ready to take all of his stuff, his food and all the stuff. And he looked out, and there was a Bigfoot looking through his stuff. So he ran through the building and tried to open the door. The Bigfoot had the door blocked. Put a chair up here so it couldn't get out. And the Bigfoot then the Bigfoot saw him. He took about 3 jumps across this, 100 yards. It took off so fast. But the only thing it stole was a couple of pounds of butter. But the Bigfoot very carefully opened other things, but didn't damage them. He'd seal them back up. So they're Bigfoot are they're intelligent. So that's a funny story. And some campers in Payson, the Mogollon Monster. It ransacked at night. It came out and it went through. It threw a stick at them and knocked the mirror off the truck. Okay. So they do that. They'll throw stuff, rocks and whatnot. Yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. Anyway, it very carefully opened some of the packages, and they could tell they were open. And some of them, the Bigfoot just helped himself, took it, and cookies and stuff like that. They were cleaned, cleaned out, but they weren't ripped apart. It wasn't all thrown. The stuff. The Bigfoot was very careful.
Intelligently opened.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Like we would have, with fingers and
yes.
So.
Versus my dog trying to get into something and just ripping it willy-nilly the place.
Yeah, like that. So how much time we got left? I'm not watching the time.
Got about just under 20 minutes. That's why I say to you every time when you come on, I always go, Tom, I hope you're going to come back.
Well, okay, let me tell people how to remote view.
Okay, let's do that, and then we'll fill in, because I want to ask you about Dogman. I've never been able to.
Geez, you get me. All right, we got a couple more hours. You get me on Dogman. Well, I'll talk about it a little bit. Dogmen are absolutely real. I spent a year studying dog. There's a show. I think he quit because he had so many fakers, liars, and hoaxers. Vic Cundiff, Cundiff. Every week. Yeah, every week he had a new show of a first person witness that encountered a dog man.
I know that's where, and he would allow them to tell their story.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I've listened to that. Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
Well, I spent a year listening to him, and some of those stories will scare the bejabbers out of you. I mean, I know about half a dozen, and a dog man can get like 16 feet tall. The biggest one they found dead on a highway in Texas, and the absolute worst dog men are in Texas, and all the way up to the Mississippi Valley to Canada.
Right.
And they're cunning, they're clever, and they love to scare the pants off humans. But it's rare that a dog man has killed a human. In the rare times that it has, the U.S. military, U.S. shows up with machine guns and electronic gear and runs into the woods. So, and they can a dog man can outrun anything. There's a guy watched him chasing.
That's what I had heard, because we weren't planning to. We were going to talk about Appalachian creatures and stuff like that. But I showed this video of a woman claiming, I think it was some kind of creature that was showing up on her porch. And people were asking, the whole audience. We ended up talking, Carrie Lynn and I, quite a bit about dogmen. And I had said that in my research, and of course I haven't researched them like you have, but I said I have ever since it started with Detroit, Michigan, and you started hearing more and more, like it was quite a few years ago. And I've never heard of people saying they'd been injured. And exactly what you said, love to scare the living bejesus out of people, chase them maybe, but I've rarely heard of anybody ever losing their life.
Yeah, it's happened 2 or 3 times. An entire family was killed in Arkansas.
Oh.
And the kids were hanging in the trees, and the guy had a big Winnebago, and the stupid mistake he made, the Bigfoot was outside. I mean, I can tell stories like this. I've got many of them, but anyway, the big mistake the guy made was he had a 12-gauge shotgun. He stepped out of the Winnebago, and he was looking ahead of him, but the dog man was in front, was coming around, and it got him. They never found the husband and wife, but they found the kids hanging up in the trees. So it's rare. I mean, they can kill humans, and they're absolutely real. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where do they come from? Where do they come from? That's what I want to know.
Well, they've always been here, but people just don't want to talk about it. They don't want to believe it.
Okay.
And they do things that are paranormal. I mean, scary paranormal. A dog man. Yeah. So, and I'll say one of the biggest ones, and a crew. If this is true, maybe it isn't. I don't know. But this is back when everything was fake. Now everything is fake. But this construction crew, they were in a truck that was 17 feet long, and there was a dead dog man it was Central Texas on the road, and a Bigfoot killed it. That's my opinion. But the dog man was stretched out, was exactly the same length as the truck, 16 feet.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah. And it doesn't sound like a hoax story. It just sounds like, that probably really happened. But the dog,
I never told you about this quickly. My audience has heard it. In my previous home, the experiences we had in there are insane. And one night I was talking to a friend, and she lived on the West Coast, so she was 3 hours behind me, and it was a Saturday night. And as women talk, she's going, "Oh, I love the color of your hair." My hair wasn't purple then. And she goes, "What color did you use?" And I said, "Oh, well, the box is in the garbage. I'll step outside." And it's about 2 a.m. my time. And as I'm going out, I look across the street. It's about 10 feet away in my old house. We didn't have a huge roadway from one side to the other. And I'm going, "Oh my God. Oh my God." And I'm turning the phone going, "Can you see this?" The most massive whitish silver looking wolf. Like, I'm not kidding, but it was almost translucent, and it was walking really, really slowly, and it stopped and it turned to look at me like this. And its eyes were like, the only thing I can say is like flaming aqua. And I am just mesmerized. And my friend is going, what are you talking about? No, I can't see. I can't see. Get back in the house. Get back in the house. Get back in the house. She kept saying, going, no, just hang on. I got to watch this. So it's walking, crosses intersecting street. As it gets by the telephone pole, it disappears. And she's yelling at me, get in the house. And so I finally get in there. And then my eldest son was still awake. And he goes, Mom, what the heck were you doing out there? And I go, why? He goes, he didn't know I'd gone outside. He goes, what the heck was snarling and growling? And she had said the same thing. She could hear it, but I couldn't. I have no idea where this thing came from. Mm-hmm.
Well, that thing was something ultra paranormal. It wasn't a dogman. There's things
I know
like
that wasn't a dogman. I was thinking size is what I meant, because I've never heard of a dogman that size before.
No, and they're all brown or black. Well, dogman's eyes. I just interviewed two women just a short while ago. Dogman was seen here in Sedona.
Wow.
Eyewitness, and one was 2:00 in the afternoon, and she knew what dogmen were. And it crossed right in front of her car at 2:00 in the afternoon. And then the other one it was staring at her into her bedroom, and they have red or orange glowing eyes.
Thank you for that. That's what I said. That's how you know, red or orange glowing, or that's what people say.
Yeah. And Bigfoot don't. Bigfoot's eyes don't. Well, they do when you shine a flashlight at it, but the dogman's eyes glow. And she was. It was looking at her through a big glass bedroom window at her.
Their tracking abilities are uncanny. Like you said, these women, I guess, probably seen it not on their property, did they? Because I've heard stories of that. They could be out way past where their house is supposed to be. Maybe they're at a shopping, or camping, and then they go back, into the city to their home. And I've heard people talk about stories, and they always know because by the eyes, these glowing, the red or orange eyes. Mm-hmm.
Well, the other day I was talking about some guy. This was on police radio. The guy called on his cell phone and said, he said Bigfoot, but through his small windows there was glowing eyes looking at him once in a while, and I said that's dogman. So they tipped his trailer over. He lived in the boonies in Arkansas or somewhere.
Wow.
Yeah, and he didn't have a gun or anything, or I think he might have had a little dog, but at any rate. So, a lot of people say, oh, that's BS, So, but they had the police radios, they had the recordings of this guy screaming, and the police were coming from 2 counties to get to this guy.
Oh, wow.
He lived so far off in the boonies, they were trying to figure out where his road was. So, stuff like this is not hoax. I mean, not then, not now. It could easily be hoax, artificial intelligence. So, tipped his trailer over. It was on the side, and they were pounding on it, trying to rip one of the doors off. And
did they get there to save him? Did they get there to save him?
It didn't. I don't know how it came out. Oh, he said, oh, here they come. Here comes the police cars. That was the end of it. I don't know what happened after that.
You posted a video a couple weeks ago that we saw, because I think we showed it on our show, Carrie Lynn and I, or we were talking about it, and you commented that it was a picture of a dog man, and it was upright. It was
that. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, did I get harassed over that? It was fake, but I said, well, that's what a dog man looks like. It was just the hips,
But you didn't say it was real in the post. You said I still haven't basically ascertained if this is AI or not. But I remember the post, and you said, but this is what a dog man looks like.
Yeah. The hips. But boy, did I get attacked by debunkers. I hate debunkers. I hate them.
So do I. Mm-hmm. You weren't asking for their opinion. You were sharing.
No. Yeah. That's it. Just, yeah. And it was interesting because dogmanners, many have been seen, so I don't even, well, that was miserable.
Well, we got about 7 minutes. Should we teach everybody how to read?
Yeah. So anyway, what I do is I teach people, wherever you are, I say, if you grew up in some farm in Kansas and you're in New York, go to your farm in Kansas and just imagine that you're there and keep doing it. And sooner or later, the red truck thing you're talking about, that's what I did. I went to this guy. I said, "What's the red truck in your yard?" And he said, "You can see that." And I said, "Yeah, I can see it." And he said, "It's my neighbor's. It's a brand new one. He didn't want his wife to know he bought it, so he stuck it over here."
Yeah.
So anyway, so just keep doing that. And, just you're not imagining. You're usually not imagining. Just keep going to your place in Kansas so that hopefully somebody's still there that you can call up and say, "Hey, Dad, have you paint the house red or something?" And they say, "Yeah, how could this has happened to me?" And they say, "Yeah, how do you know? How can you see that?" So they just keep doing that. After a while, and this is the freaky part. If you get good at it and you really believe you're doing it, you will be there. I could talk for the next half hour about Tom O'Donnell, my psychologist friend, what we did at his place in Durango. But you will actually be there. Then you'll know you're not imagining it. You're really there, looking around. And I said, look around. Is it snowing? Is it raining? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is the grass green? And look. Just look until that's remote viewing. And you'll get better and better and better at it. Then you can just travel.
And you check in with your senses. And because that's what I would do. Like I told you when I was working with there was a whole bunch of us from all around the world trying to find lost and missing children, right?
Oh,
and so
yeah.
part of that would be once I would connect my consciousness and I would see where the target was, because we know, like we were actually looking at a lot of those oh God, I'm going to get the wrong name of it. Where First Nations children were taken from their families and forced to go back. Residential schools. Took me a minute. So there's a lot of missing people that were small children. So we were tasked with that to see if we could locate where these mass graves were. So we kind of had an idea, but we weren't given an idea. But yeah, it gets to the point where you project your, if you will, imagine whatever you have to, right? Once you're there, what do I smell? What do I hear? Do I feel anything? Right? Like checking in with that. And I love that you're sharing this, Tom, because you know what? People that teach it, and this is no disrespect to them, besides charging thousands of dollars,
right?
It doesn't need to be that complicated, right? Like we could do that, right? Like you said, pick a spot and visit it and really check in.
Well, I've been involved in 4 murders. I will not work on a murder again. I will not. Don't anybody ask me.
Right.
But I solved them. 3 of them I solved, and I'm not doing it again. It's the reason why is you have to be there. You have to feel the murder.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's hell. It's hell. Quick story. There was a friend of her sister's little girl, 9 years old, pretty little blonde. I saw the whole thing, and so the guy killed her. He hung her, and so I saw the whole thing. I saw him. I saw where he lived, and so she had her cell phone on her. That's how they found her. But I will not. So I tracked the guy down psychically, and I did something to him, and because he was getting ready to kill another little girl in a playground. Yeah, so I kind of did something to the guy. So anyway, yeah. So I will not be involved in another murder. I won't.
I just about, and I don't cry very easily. I just about started to cry when you just, and I know you didn't get into details, but I can't even imagine that, and I can understand why.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I could hear what he was saying, and I could hear what that little girl was saying, thinking she knew she was going to die, and I'll be damned if I'll go through experience anything like that again. She knew it was hopeless, that she was going to die, and he was going to kill another girl. He was planning it because he was a worker in the town, and he was basically a yard worker. Yard worker guy, the rakes and So and I described him perfectly. I know I didn't go to the police. I am not going to get involved with police.
Because how do you go, right? like
Yeah.
what you try and prove that you saw this. And I have some friends that have even had visions of stuff that's coming,
Yeah.
and one of them could see through the eyes of a killer actually, and was
Yeah.
really describing things. She knew what he looked like, but how do you go to the police to prove that you're not involved, right?
Well, you get lawyers get involved, you'll be jammed up for years. I mean, so I will not get involved in it anyway, not anyway. But it's
you know what? I love you dearly. We don't have
yeah.
much more time, but please, will you come back on, please? Because next time we'll check in with everybody about the remote viewing, but also then we can really get into anything else you'd love to. Because every time I have you on, I've been looking, not that I don't look forward to my show, but I knew I was going to have so much fun tonight with you, because I always do. So what have you got coming up? How do people get a hold of you? Say they want to buy your books or anything?
Yeah, my book. Yeah. Here's my best seller, Merging Dimensions, but the Bradshaw Ranch. So everybody buy this one, Merging Dimensions.
And so where do they get it?
Amazon is my only distributor now.
Okay.
I have the other 8 books. One's out of print for good. The Unseen Beings is out of print for good.
Oh no.
Yeah. The Amazon's my only distributor, and don't contact me. I'm overwhelmed. 81 years old. I'm overwhelmed as it is with stuff that I have to deal with. So I'm just too damned old.
You don't look at that's the problem. So what I'm going to do is wish you happy early birthday. You guys, please. Everybody's saying what a great show, and I didn't get to see a lot of Michelle's comments. I was popping back and forth, but we are in depth. Yes, we didn't do our station ID. I'm sorry, but I was too in depth in the conversation. So I'm going to do it now. So if you were tuned in, you were listening to UFO Paranormal on United Public Radio Network. You can listen to us on 105.3 FM in the Gulf Coast in Mississippi, 107.7 FM out of the beautiful city of New Orleans. And this has been the Angel Rock, and I'm your host, Lorilei Potvin, and my amazing guest and friend Tom Dongo was on tonight. Don't go anywhere, you guys, because coming up next is Preston Dennett and Dolly Saffron with the Light Gate. Also, if you guys ever want to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me on Facebook.com/The Angel Rock is the easiest. I am going to a domain name. I'm working on a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes, and that's coming this year, I promise. I do psychic and mediumship readings. I do energy healing, crystal Reiki. I do teaching and mentoring. Or you can reach out to me on any social media platform. I'm on pretty well every platform you can think of. Next Monday, we have Astrolight Paranormal coming on, Victoria Cheeseman. So that's going to be a spooky conversation. And please don't forget to tune in on Thursday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here for Beneath the Hollow Moon. You know what? Thank you so much for coming on, Tom. I always love when you come on.
Oh, namaste.
Okay, you guys. Well, hang tight for Preston and Dolly, and we'll see you on Thursday. Oh, somebody put an intro on here. Hang on. We got to get rid of it. They're not going to be happy.